Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Board Gaming Doctor. My name is Phil, and I'll be your Board Game Doctor today. So, in this video, I'm going to be playing Farmers of the Moor, the large Agricola expansion. I'll be playing this solo, and using the solo rules. Just as a reminder, the differences between this game and the base game of Agricola are as follows. You have the added option of, or added resource of horses, which kind of collect coins as they would with cattle, in the same fashion. At the end of each harvest, you have to heat your house for as many wood as fuel as possible. And so so there's one wood per fuel that you need to fuel. And clay houses reduce that cost to total by 1 and stone by 2. At any time, you can eat a wheat or a grain or a vegetable for 1 food. And then the other major difference too, in addition to the occupations that are specific for this expansion, is that we start the game off with a selected arrangement, a randomized arrangement of forests and moors, and there will be certain actions depicted here, with these special actions that allow us to remove the moors and the forests for resources and clears up our board for fences, pastures, fields, etc. The only other minor differences would, in addition to the special action, which you can take on your turn in the solo game, you can take one of these actions in addition to your 2 actions that you start with your starting family, and then in the next round you can either discard the card that you had just used, or if you did not use it, you can put it at the bottom of the deck to use a new card. And so there's a little bit of strategic planning in that regard. I guess the final tidbit too is that there are more major improvements that are found underneath the normal ones, which give you some interesting bonuses and play a part in like the specifics for Farmers of the Moor, like having horses being able to be used in the horse slaughterhouse, for example. So those are the major differences and additions to this game. What I'm going to do in this video that's a little different is, instead of filming the whole thing through, I think I will go through this round by round, where I will explain everything quickly after the fact, after I have placed all of my workers for the round, and kind of go piecemeal so as to not create a lot of pauses as I strategize. And so I'll do that at the end of each round and harvest, and see if that makes it a more streamlined process for viewing. Let me know, for those who do care, just let me know if this is cool or not. But I'm all for trying new things, and so let's see how this goes. So after the first round, I essentially had 3 actions. I felled some trees to take 2 wood, and I did this because I want to be able to feed my family in a different way other than taking like the hiring fare and just food actions. I want to build something that is a little bit more lasting, and looking at the cards that I have and coming down to here where you can see most of my cards, I want to point out a few that stood out to me. So I believe this is like the 2nd complexity level for Farmers of the Moor, and I really like the oven installation, which will allow me to not have to pay fuel later on, and so I could safely expand my house by doing so. So I think going down the route of potentially feeding myself with a clay oven, which is over the heating oven, which will turn grain into like 5 food, will be my go-to this game. And I also have this deep plow, which allows me to place a Moor tile and then basically have some plow help to turn more fields or spots into field tiles directly, getting a 2-for-1 there. So what I did this round is I used that wood, one of the 2 woods, to pay for the peat sled, which allows me to think ahead or plan ahead and place some fuel on a corresponding round. I chose to do it a little bit earlier because I'm hoping to get my oven installation out at a certain point to fuel my not have to worry about fuel, and so I will need this sooner rather than later. And so I think for round 2, this will be sufficient, or at least very helpful. And then I gained some seeds. I want the resource accumulation spots to pile up a little bit more. I know I'll double check this as well, but as soon as you get to a certain level, then you lose all those resources, and so there's a timing aspect to when you should get these resources anyway. One minor caveat with wood, you see I start with 2 wood here. In the solo game, instead of 3, you only accumulate 2 wood at a time, and then everything else is the same. So I am hoping to snag these resources at a more opportune moment and wait for them to be a lot bigger. So therefore I built my little minor improvement, which is also a prerequisite for the deep plow. I need 2 improvements to play it. So, and then I just gained some seeds, so that way I could potentially farm a little bit later on with the deep plow to take advantage of that efficiency there. So that's the first round. So for round number 2, first of all, I did confirm that I think I was thinking of Caverna, where the resources will go away. If you don't use them here, they will accumulate indefinitely. So I won't need to worry about that. I didn't take any of the resources quite yet. We revealed the grain utilization spot, so that's good. What I did was I took a food and a stone, so I could use that stone to build a clay oven and use the grain that I gained and will accumulate to feed myself. And with that food and the 5 additional food that I will get from grain, I should be good for food this round because every worker requires 3 food to feed. The other things that I did is I took the the cut peat to get enough fuel for this round, and I went to my tableau and I took away this peat because, Moor, because I want to build my pastures out here rather than try to take the forests out and rearrange in a weird pattern. So anyway, I'm knowing that I want to deep plow and turn these moors into fields. I want to try to, make sure that I place them in an appropriate way, I suppose. And then finally, I did play this other land parcel minor improvement because that was really close. Let's go down here. Deep plow requires 2 improvements to fit, and so here the land parcel is not too bad. I was able to place another forest on an unused farm space, and if I leave one unused farm space open, I get +2, so that would give me an extra point essentially, as long as I can cover up my farm board, which I'm confident I should be able to do. So yeah, that is round 2. So this gets discarded, and let's move on to round 3. So this third round was pretty quick for me. I decided to take the horse from the special actions because of another card that I have here, the hay wagon, which seems really good. So if I have 2 horses and spend 2 wood, I gain a point. And after any time I take 3 wood, 3 clay, 2 reed, or 2 stone, I get to build a room or renovate without placing a person. So that seems really good. So I am going to keep a horse in my house as a pet before I build any fences. Now, I do have 6 wood here. It'll be 8, so I probably will take some take some wood and some reed to be able to build a house soon so I can get my 3rd family member. But in the meantime, I took the 3 clay, so I had 3 clay and 1 stone, and traded it in for the clay oven. So this stone is gone, and I have a clay oven and converted that wheat into 5 food. So I have enough food and fuel to survive this round. So for the last turn in round 1, essentially, I went ahead and took the black market action since I had a leftover fuel to use, and I built out my deep plow. I should say that I took the 8 wood as well first, and so I was able to have 9 wood, spend 3 of it to have this improvement out. I'm left with 6 wood. I'm left with enough wood to build a house, and so I figure whenever the Wish for Children spot opens up, I will be able to take the reed bank whenever that happens, maximize the amount of reed that I need, and be able to build a farm expansion, and then do that. So actually, that might be what I do the next round, is take some reed and then expand my farm, and then kind of continue from there. The last thing that I did, just order of operations wise, I went ahead and took the grain seeds because I feel like I could do that to set myself up to either sow or just feed myself 5 the next round. I would like to sow so I can get a steady supply of grain. It'd be nice to have 2 fields of grain as well. And also, the other reason that I decided to go down that route is because I want to remove this forest tile so I can place a field there. So that way I can have a little bit more flexibility. Since I was able to place a Moor with the deep plow, I didn't really want to play it here because I need to extend my house in that direction. And so even though I kind of took a Moor spot out from here, I would have loved to have this open spot for my fences to kind of make more sense, but that's the way it's going to be. And so I went ahead and placed that, and so I'll probably utilize these for farm spaces. So yeah, we'll see if that works out for me. Maybe I should have taken the reed this turn to set myself up for a farm expansion, but regardless, it's still going to take at least a couple of turns. So that's probably what I will do the next turn. We'll see what flips over. All right, at the start of round 2, we are looking at house development as the flipped card here. And the special action card was listed as such. I went ahead with the fell trees to get some extra wood, because I know that the horse card is coming up next, and I potentially want to use some more wood here to start building a pasture so I can hold those horses and once again be able to play my hay wagon. So I took that action, and I know there are some really good cards here that are coming up that I potentially would want to keep for the end game, but I just don't have the food right now. I guess I could eat this grain if I wanted to, but I'd rather not. So in addition to that, it looks like we have some breathing room to be able to expand our farm and prepare for the Wish for Children. And so I went ahead and took the reed and the farm expansion. Now, if I wanted to build out my house to, say, 4 different rooms, then I would need 6. Let's see, 2, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I would need 6 reed. So I was 1 short, essentially. And so hopefully I can get some more a little bit later and be able to renovate as soon as I can. So with the next round, I realized that I think I made a mistake because I believe this round or at least the last round, I should have probably built some fences and taken the wood and built fences or something like that because with the Western Quarry flipping over, I guess I wouldn't have been able to know, but I feel like I should have done that because I would have gotten the horses here and would have been able to play the hay wagon and potentially use it to build that extra room that I would need by taking some resources. But that's okay. I think if I were to stop and think about it some more, maybe it wouldn't have panned out. In any case, I did want to take advantage of this horse market, and so therefore I took some extra wood to build fences. I have my fences here and that second horse, so now I can breed them and hopefully continue and have the two horses that I would need for the hay wagon, which will help me at the very least renovate in the future. In this next round, I am really curious about this slash and burn. The next round, I'm now going to have to think about how to feed my people. And so, we'll see what happens. Well, this was a disappointing round as well. Knowing that the wish for children came up, realizing as well that I would need to feed that extra little person an extra food, and so no matter what I would try to do, whether either baking my grain, my single grain, or just going to the fishing spot for food, I know those are suboptimal moves, but either way I would still be missing a food. And rather than begging for food, I would rather, feed my people now and perhaps set myself up for success a little bit later on. And so, unfortunately, I mean, if this wish for children came up a little bit sooner, maybe I would have had some opportunities to be more flexible. So, the best that I could do was to slash and burn for a field. I'm going to get these fields ready for sowing, and then I got an extra grain so I could sow as many grain as I can to have some left over for baking to feed myself and to provide some food in the future. So this does not feel very efficient, doesn't feel very good, but I think this is just the way it is, and we learn from our mistakes and we just keep going. So the first round, or the first turn in round 3, it took me a long time to kind of figure out what I was going to do with my actions, but this is what I settled on. And here's my scheme. So I went ahead and took the 4 wood, and then took the wish for children action to use 2 wood, and since I have the horses, to play out my hay wagon. Now I did this because, and I also took 1 food from the hiring fair, because in the next round I will be able to have 3 actions as well as this last action to build a few things, or at least 1 major improvement at least, as you'll see soon, to be able to feed my family and progress through the game, essentially, with as much efficiency as I can, mitigating, hopefully, for the mistakes that I've made thus far. All right, to finish out, phase 3, I was able to first grab some clay, and there was enough clay there for me to be able to renovate immediately, because it was 6 clay that I snagged. I should actually have some of this left over, I just realized. So I spent 3 clay. Oh, I should have 1 left over, and here's why. So 3 clay and 1 reed to renovate my house based off of the hay wagon action. And then I used my food and last remaining fuel to utilize the last special action card that I have available, which was the illicit work. So I spent those to build a fireplace for free for 2 clay. So I have 1 left over. And I also realize, I don't know if you may have noticed, this is the 9th card, and I believe there is supposed to be 1 more card in the special action deck that I'm supposed to use. So I looked for it, I couldn't find it, and so this is what it is. So, take that for what it is. So I went with the fireplace so that way I could go to the sheep market and take the 5 sheep there, or sorry, 6 sheep, cook 5 of them for 10 food, and then keep 1 as a pet. So I have the ability to potentially start some sheep breeding soon. And I also with my last remaining action, I figure I can wait to get some stone to renovate and also build some of the buildings that I would need to fuel my house. And that's the one thing that I forgot and didn't think about, was how to heat my house. Now, I do have, so a clay house reduces the total amount of fuel by 1, so I would still only need 2 if I'm correct, and I'll check the rules too. So I would consume these 2 wood for fuel, unfortunately, and have to take that hit as well. This is not going to plan, and this is, this is why we play, and this is why we learn this game, and so maybe you can learn from my mistakes or something. So with my last remaining action, instead of taking other resources, which I will utilize later, I went ahead and got this field planted with grain. I'm not going to consume this grain or bake it, and I will start to gain an increase of some more grain to be able to plant as I take the deep plow action later on. So we'll see how it goes. So at the beginning of phase 4, I have a clear idea of what I want to do to kind of finish this out. I forewent the stone action this round as well, because I want to get it when I have 6 stone to be able to afford perhaps a few other major improvements down the line. I went ahead, I took some pigs for the food, and so I gained 6 food. I also farmed, and I'm pretty sure you can do this. So this, my deep plow allows me to flip over a moor for a field tile, and then I could plow. I mean, you're supposed to plow adjacent to an already existing field, and so since this one is there already, I think this is legal, but let me know if I'm wrong. So I went ahead and did that. I'm setting up for a plow, and I gained a grain, so I can plow these 2 grain, and then go ahead and grab a bake action for myself to set myself up for future feeding. It looks like I'm stuck essentially with 3 rooms in my house, and so I won't be able to build out further since I am locked behind these forests and this field. So it'd be nice to also maybe make some room for some additional animals, since my pasture is going to be pretty small. I'm going to have to build some stables. So yeah, so on to the next round. Okay, so for the last round of phase 4, I went ahead and first took the 6 stone here, and I believe I was able to be able to use the hay wagon to automatically renovate. So I used 3 of those and 1 reed to build my house. Next, I took the wood for building fences the next round. There were 6 wood there, and I used 1 of them to convert to a fuel. And then I used a fuel and a food marker to use the illicit work to build this fuel provider, so this heating oven. So I immediately got 2 fuel. I will be able to use only one fuel, it looks like, to fuel my house because of the discounts that I get from the heating oven and my stone house in general. So, actually, I think it's for free because I would need three fuel total, minus two for having a stone house, minus one room here. So, yeah, I get to keep these fuel markers that I will probably use for uh, to be able to use the illicit market to build out some more major improvements if needed. So, and then the last thing I did was sow my fields and bake bread with the remaining grain that I had. So by the end of I need to fill out these new fields. So the next harvest, I will have this field available to hopefully grab and plant a vegetable for, two extra points there. So yeah, so let's move on to phase 5. Okay, for the first round of phase 5, this is a pretty cool turn. So what I did was had Urgent Wish for Children flip over, so I took advantage of that to get some more actions at the end of the game. I went ahead and took the reed. There was quite a bit of reed there, and with this 2 stone remaining, I went ahead and built the BMW, the Basket Maker's Workshop. So I will be able to consume a few reed, as I have 6 reed here. If I can collect a few at the end of the game, 3 extra points there, not too shabby. And this will allow me to feed at least one of my new workers, right? So that is nice. My next round, I really need to look into building my fences, right? Yeah, I need to build fences and then collect wood later on for stables, so I have some room for these animals that are piling up. I don't think I will have enough room for them to breed over a couple of rounds. I will just have to take them as they are and call it a day. So yeah, I planted an extra farmland using my deep plow, and not having room to, or wanting to have any room to plant out. I just turned this more into a field. I will get this ready for planting very soon. Okay, with the penultimate turn and round here, I went again to the Wish for Children action. So I will owe myself 13 food at the end of the game, and therefore I went ahead and built fences with the 5 wood that I had. And so that's 1, 2. I took the pigs and the sheep. So I decided to cook one boar and keep the other 2, and then cook all of the sheep. So I'm going to keep 1 sheep for points, and I use the rest for food because I won't have enough room to grow as many sheep as possible, and I also won't have enough room. Well, I have more room to keep grain essentially, and so rather than using up grain for my food, I'm going to do sheep and then do a cultivation action to get some more grain and vegetables out on the board for me. So I have 14 food left over. I'm going to try to get some wood to build some stables to maximize the amount of horses that I get. I am going to have room for 1 more horse now. I decide, I guess I missed out on 1 breed. The last harvest, I didn't have enough room, and so this might work out for me in that regard. I'll look at the points to see what maximizes for myself. Oh, yeah, and I'm also, I guess, part of this food was due to eating a reed. So I don't think I will be able to max out on my Basket Maker's Workshop points. I probably will only get 2 points extra for this, which is a shame. Unless I eat some cattle, or something. We'll figure that out. So, or I guess I could bake bread. So, yeah, we'll maximize the amount of points here in the last round with 5 full workers and a pretty full board. Okay, to finish out this round, I've already calculated my score, so spoilers there. But I went ahead and gave a vegetable, planted, and sowed for my grain and everything. I went ahead and took the wood and built stables, and then took the cattle. So I did all of that to ultimately come up with this farm. I built a bunch of these stables to house my horses, which are worth a point each. I wasn't able to get enough cattle, but I almost filled out as much as I could here. No empty spaces, renovated 5 family members, so felt pretty good. With the additional points that I got from these cards, yeah, it brought me up to 62. The goal is 65 for a game without improvements, and then 70. So a couple of points shy. So looking back at the way that I played, I really struggled right in the second round here, second and third phase, where if this basic wish for children perhaps came up earlier, I might have been able to have an extra action to be a little bit more efficient. But either way, it still wasn't. I felt like I was kind of taking inefficient actions to feed myself with fishing. I had to use 2 wood to uh, use as fuel, for example. So I think what I learned from this go through was to plan a little bit more ahead. I was thinking about all of the turns that I would take in a certain round, but I think I failed to take into account the round after, right? Like knowing what resources I had available, I could then further plan out perhaps maybe 3 to 4 actions ahead rather than the 2 to 3, like the 2 to 3 in the round that I had currently. But I could look at, the next couple of turns as well to make things more efficient as possible. I, I ended up not taking any negatives for begging for food, for starving. So that was something. No one got sick, so that's cool too. Yep, just a few points missing. If I had maybe an extra couple of stone, maybe I could build a stone oven or go for the jar. I don't know. Yeah. To get to 8 more points, I probably could have tried to use some of those special actions better. If I had an opportunity to build out my pastures more, perhaps I would have been able to score more horses, for example. I think I would have at least 2 more horses or so. Yeah, so there are some deficits here and there, but considering how I felt in the middle of the game, I still feel like we came out pretty strong. So I think that's where I struggled the most, is the mid game of Agricola and figuring out what to do next after I've collected some sort of a food engine and the ability to build my first room. So if I can kind of plan ahead and get past that and really start shining in the third to fourth phase, then maybe I will be able to score some more points in the future and apply that in the multiplayer game. So that is Agricola, the Farmers of the Moor expansion, played solo. Let me know if I got anything wrong. Um, I appreciate you watching and letting me know anyway. There's no offense taken. And maybe, you thought and were screaming at me internally saying, Phil, you're an idiot for not doing that. Well, that's fine. I guess it's all just a game and it's fun to learn. And this process is helping me, so hopefully it helps you too. But overall, hopefully it was fun, and I really appreciate you consulting with me today during this Rosenberg-athon. Hopefully we can get a few more of these nice Rosenberg games played this month. So with that, thank you for listening or watching, and hope that you schedule an appointment with me real soon. Take care.